Oda has finally revealed Dragon Past recently, and in this video, I am going to explain everything we got to know about him until now. In the One Piece chapter 1097, we finally get a proper picture of Dragon's past, where we found out that Dragon was actually a member of the Navy at one point in the story. This makes total sense, given that he is Garp's son. We know that Garp has always been a marine and he deeply trusts and believes in this organization as well. Even though the higher-ups are corrupt, Garp tried desperately to get both Luffy and Ace to become powerful marines, and he failed at that task despite his incredible efforts. Taking that into consideration, it should not come as a surprise to any of us that Garp wanted his own son, Dragon, to be in the marines as well. Garp is a very persistent person, and at times, it almost feels like he forces his view of the world on other characters. If he did this with Dragon, it is possible that the latter might have actually listened to him and joined the Marines. For one reason or another, Dragon did end up joining the Marines, and at a later point in the story, he left this organization. What triggered this change in Dragon has not been revealed by Oda just yet. It is highly likely that Oda will dive deeper into a Dragon flashback later down the line. For now, we only know that he was a part of the Navy and something happened that made him disillusioned with the system, and he realized that he was not going to get any justice there. Dragon wanted to follow his own sense of justice, and for that reason, he left this organization to seek a better way to change the world. This chapter also gave us a good look at the creators of the Revolutionary Army. As we know already, the Revolutionary Army did not always exist as it is currently. It was initially known as the Freedom Fighters and was created by two powerful individuals, and these two individuals were Dragon and Ivankov. Essentially, Ivankov can now be considered as Dragon's very own right-hand man. These two characters were the ones responsible for creating a powerful organization strong enough to change the entire world. The Freedom Fighters were a small group, however, they did what they could do and liberated what small towns they could. Eventually, their name started to spread far and wide, especially in the Four Blues. We already know the Dragon was very popular in the West Blue, and now Kuma, who was currently in the Sorbet Kingdom, in the South Blue, also started hearing about him. When things started going bad in Sorbet Kingdom and Kuma and his close associates were imprisoned, it was none other than Dragon and Ivankov who came to the rescue. They overthrew the corrupt king of the South Blue, and eventually, freed Kuma and his friends from their captivity as well. At this point, the Freedom Fighters got even more members, and Kuma and Guinea ended up becoming a very significant part of this group. After the raid of Sorbet Kingdom in One Piece chapter 1097, Oda made it clear that this is the point where the Revolutionary Army was finally created. Essentially, when Dragon and Ivankov were the axis of the group, they were only known as the Freedom Fighters. However, when Kuma joined the group as a revolutionary, their power expanded and Dragon decided to rename the organization as the Revolutionary Army. They also started gaining more members and more support all over the world, and this was a phenomenal victory for Dragon. He realized that he was getting closer to his goal, however, he was still not close enough. As such, the Revolutionary Army, who were liberating town after town, decided to act like a mercenary group. They were hired by people who wanted a taste of freedom. These mercenaries then took on very difficult missions and delivered freedom to towns that really wanted help. This is largely because Dragon wanted funds to make this organization bigger than ever, and for funds, he would have to get his hands dirty in some way. Of course, Dragon took it upon himself and formed a very powerful organization, which was eventually even brought up at the Reverie. It is clear to see that Dragon is one of the most powerful characters in the world of One Piece right now, and given his past that has now been provided to us, and the fact that they know he toiled his way to the top, one can understand why that is the case in the first place. And in the following years, the Revolutionary Army started getting even bigger. We got to see the Revolutionary Army establish a proper plan. Dragon wanted to lead a worldly revolution, and thus, he wanted members in every single corner of the entire world. This is likely why the Revolutionary Army started to expand as much as it did. Kuma, who joined the Revolutionary Army, became one of its core members. Meanwhile, Guinea, who also joined with Kuma, became the commander of the East Army of the Revolutionary Army. We who know the current commanders of the Revolutionary Army will remember that this position is currently being held by Belo Betty. This means that something happened to Guinea along the way and she is currently not a member of the Revolutionary Army anymore. Regardless of that, Dragon certainly started gaining more information as the Revolutionary Army expanded. They created commanders for each sea, and these commanders had their own underlings to do their respective jobs, wherever they were placed by Dragon. Ivankov, back in Impel Down, mentioned that Dragon is leading a very strategic revolution. He placed Ivankov in Impel Down for a reason, and similarly, he placed different commanders of his army in different places in the world. Every single sea of the world was covered by Dragon, and when the time came, these commanders struck, liberating country after country, and this eventually led to Dragon becoming the world's worst criminal. Dragon is directly challenging the supremacy of the celestial dragons, and that is not only very brave but it is also a just dream that he wishes to fulfill at any cost. And these are all the things that we got to know about Dragon recently. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I also asked you to subscribe to help us. It will also help us to grow more, and if you like, please subscribe.